The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Well, that is entirely true. It does not matter who the host is. We are coming to you live from the Renaissance Hotel in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Oh, yes, and this is October the 9th, day 282, only 83 days remaining before the end of the year. Now, I want to say thank you to my friend and colleague, Sheldon Primus, for taking over the show over the last couple of days, because I was definitely not able to speak. As it is right now, I am still not 100%, and my voice is still kind of off kilter. But I did have the privilege yesterday to actually come out and do a speech down here in good old Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I won't say that we gave them a rated R safety show, per se. Maybe we can call it the PG-13 show, but we did cover some information. Anyways, it was some fun times actually being able to do that. But like always, there was some sarcasm involved. So today, because I'm on the road, and yes, I did have a fun time last week in Las Vegas, just in case if you were wondering, but because I'm on the road today, we will not have any ranters. And yes, you can hear the echo coming in from the room because it is not a properly treated room. But hopefully, we'll be able to come to you live tomorrow from the studio. But let me not waste any more of your time, and let's get you started with the news.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
Well, I will have to tell you right off the bat, this is some sexually filled news stories coming to you today. Cases of the top 3 sexually transmitted diseases are at an all-time high in the U.S. Combined cases of gonorrhea, syphilis, and chlamydia have soared in the recent years, and now the amount of 2.4 million total cases, the most for all 3 since 1984, since they started collecting the information. So it sounds like a lot of people are getting action out there, but they're not doing it in a safe and protective manner. Now, keep in mind that certain things you can do, abstinence is a choice, but you need to do certain things to make sure that you're protecting yourself from sexually transmitted diseases, people. And I'm not saying you have to sit there and qualify the people that you're actually doing the dirty with, but keep those things in mind. Anyway, let's continue down the path here. British farmers have more sex than any other type of workers, according to a new study conducted by sex toys companies. It found that 33% of farmers get it on at least once a day, more than doctors, architects, lawyers, and hairdressers. Well, man, I'm sitting here for a second and going, did you and I and everybody else go down the correct path on what we wanted to go to school for? Because it is not sounding like so, unless you're doing something differently than I am.
Duh.
Anyways, let's continue right here with some of the other news stories. Owning a dog could increase your lifespan, according to researchers at this particular university that did the research. The study looked at people who aged 40 to 85 who had had a heart attack or a stroke. Those without a dog were about 30% more likely to die after getting out of the hospital after a major cardiovascular event. A similar broader study found similar results that dog owners were 65% less likely to die following a heart attack. So I take a look at this and I go, does this mean that if you don't have a dog, you should go out there right away and grab one? Or do you look at it and go, do I really want to live longer than most? That's really just a decision for you to make, Not for me.
Duh.
Young people are much more likely than the prior generation to resent the rich and frown upon capitalism. A recent Cato survey found that 50% of kids 18 to 29 have found favorable view of socialism as opposed to 49% capitalism. Only 34% of those over 65 think socialism is good. A majority, 52%, of the 18 to 29 group also said they didn't think that wealthy people actually earned their money. What do you think about that? And I know that that is almost teeter-tottering on politics. Not really something I want to talk about, but something that you're seeing here as a case study. And I have to tell you, I really love case studies, but you probably already know that about me.
Duh.
Meat has been grown in a lab in space for the first time. An Israel food technology company grew the fake flesh using bovine cells harvested on Earth and processed them using a 3D printer on an international space station 248 miles in Earth orbit. Well. 3D printer meat. I knew at some point we would get there, but did you think that it was going to happen so soon? I don't know. Is that something that you would be willing to try? I look at it and I go, I know that there's always some advancements in technology, but man, 3D printed meat. Will it be much better than what we already have? Anyways, this news story coming out of Florida. Florida man is accused of pouring beer in an alligator's mouth and trying to get the animal to bite him. Yes, you heard me correctly. He was trying to get the alligator to bite him. This is a 27-year-old man, and a friend who is holding it down allegedly tried to get the reptile to bite his right forearm and then poured beer in its mouth. He denies that he was drunk at the time. The alligator is alive and well. Both men are in custody.
Duh.
Well, I try to look at it real quick, and I go, well, number one, how does anybody find out that this is actually taking place? Because somebody had to report it, or was somebody watching, or were they trying to become social media famous people in regards of doing this? And an alligator biting your forearm? What are you thinking here? Apparently, you're not thinking much.
Duh.
Let's continue. Have you heard about these blackouts that are going on in California? Blackouts are possible across a large portion of Northern California after the threat of wildfires hit a high point. Pacific Gas and Electric, which is also known as PG&E, said it would be voluntary shutting down numerous power plants, citing the high risk of fire that could be set by the plants and active power lines. Well, that sounds like a rough time there for Northern California. And hopefully, best of luck to them because it's going to be a rough time. Hopefully, everybody will be able to remain in a cool, calm condition, and they'll be able to stop the fire sometime soon. If you're familiar with the story, I would love to hear more about it. It's actually not being based out of California. I'm always interested in some of the things that are going on out there. So let's continue real quick. Boeing is taking a gamble on space tourism. So I'm sure you heard of this. The aerospace company Horizon X Arm is buying a $20 million stake in Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic as soon as it goes public later this year. Virgin Galactic has plans to launch its first commercial space flight next year. Are you willing to take the gamble of going into space? Is it something that interests you? Is it something that excites you? I look at it and I go, it seems like it would be something amazing to do. But do you really want to go on the first generation plane that's going to take people up there? I look at it and I go, sounds like it could be dangerous. What do you think? Are you willing to take the risk? So continuing down the path with the news stories, here's something that I read recently. Have you heard of this thing called deep fakes? You may have heard of a dire warning about deepfake videos upturning electronically or electrons by digitizing and posing the faces and voices of celebrities and politicians on other people's bodies to show them doing something that they never really did. But the new tech isn't infiltrating politics nearly as much as it is the porn side. Oh, yes, you heard me correctly. A recent survey of deepfake videos already online shows that 96% of all of the videos are porn. So people are taking celebrity faces, politician faces and voices and converting them over to porn technology.
Duh.
So all of a sudden, if you're out there looking for this kind of stuff, not saying that you are, you'll obviously see this pornographic material of people doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing, or should be doing, however you want to look at it, but not really them doing it. So I wonder how many of these are actually going out there. I'm not talking about the percentage that is out there. I'm talking about how many of these have actually already been out. Because I look at it and I go, it's quite crazy that people would waste so much time of converting these videos over from celebrities and politicians that are not doing these things for it to show that.
Duh.
Well, anyways, let's get to some of the favorite parts of that I have about the show. And this is the days of the year that you can celebrate. So let's take it from the top. Canadian Beer Day, Scrubs Day, World Post Day, Bring Your Teddy Bear to Work and School Day, Emergency Nurses Day, Moldy Cheese Day. Really, would you want to be involved with that? Pet Obesity Awareness Day, Fire Prevention Day, Curious Events Day, and last but not least, Beer and Pizza Day. I really feel that a lot of people celebrate that day quite more often than what they might want to admit. Anyways, you have been listening to the Rated R Safety Show. We are actually streaming this bad boy live on Safety FM, definitely at noon as we're doing this. And I am so sorry about how it actually did occur over the weekend with the 48 hours straight of the Rated R Safety Show. I did try to jump in, but my voice was not holding up on my end of the bargain, so I do owe you something in return. Anyways, I know who you are. You know who I am. Love you. Mean it. Bye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
Duh.